up on episode 11 of The Good, the Bad, the Teskey, I weigh in why Michael Jordan is the best player of all time, and it's going to be almost impossible for anybody in this day and age to dethrone MJ as the best NBA player ever. All that and more coming up on The Good, the Bad, the Teskey.
Inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win! The St. Cleveland Cavaliers! Michael Jordan hits it at the foul line. 101 to 100. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago.
Inside of Carmelo, they double it. Jordan knocks it away from him. Jordan's got it. The Bulls can win it right here. The Bulls can win it. Unbelievable.
Michael against Russell, 12 seconds. 11, 10. Jordan a drive. Hangs. Fires. Scores! He scores! The Bulls lead 87-86 with 5 2/10 left. And now they're one stop away. Oh my goodness.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship in the last 8 years.
Welcome to episode 11 of The Good, the Bad, the Teskey. I am Colin Test. Been long overdue since the show came out. I haven't produced a show since the summer, but I'm back, and it's going to be a new feel to the show, going to be a lot more refreshing, and again, we're going to be debating the hottest topics in sports, and let's start with this one, and it's a big story for basketball fans, and if you're a hardcore NBA fan, you talk about Michael Jordan all the time for being the best player of all time, and that's the argument now that Michael Jordan has just turned 50. He turned 50 over the weekend, and a lot of sports talk shows, ESPN, are all covering this, and they're wanting to know, is Michael Jordan still viewed as the best player of all time, even at 50 years old? And for me growing up, I mean, I'm only 20 years old, but when I was a kid, Michael Jordan was the first athlete that I ever watched, and he was one of the guys who really got me into sports. I remember my parents put up our first basketball hoop when I was 4 years old, and it was, again, regulation size. It was 10 feet high. And, you know, for me being a small guy, I was out there all the time after I would watch the Bulls. And after every Bulls game, I'd be out there shooting hoops. And for a while, I wanted my parents to rename me Michael because I was that big of a fan of Michael Jordan. I've got tons of photos of him in my room, not in a creepy way, but again, I have the picture of him holding the Larry O'Brien trophy close to his head and crying. And I've got a lot of things like that because he reminds me of a guy who accomplished everything and beat the odds. And that's why I think Michael Jordan is such a big figure and why people are so drawn to this guy. You know, you listen to his Hall of Fame speech when he got inducted, and a lot of people were mad that he didn't thank the game and didn't do the typical speech where you kind of reminisce about your playing days.
And then there's Leroy Smith. Now, you got to think that's a myth. Leroy Smith was a guy, when I got cut, he made the team on the varsity team. And he's here tonight. He's still the same 6'7" guy. He's not any bigger. His game is about the same. But he started the whole process with me because when he made the team and I didn't, I wanted to prove not just to Leroy Smith, not just to myself, but to the coach who actually picked Leroy over me. I wanted to make sure you understood you made a mistake, dude.
He reminisced about his playing days in his speech, but he still was going after the people who doubted him on his way to the NBA. He still called out his high school coach who had cut him, and he was still saying, hey, look at me now, I'm up here. And people found him arrogant and brash after he said that. But, you know, for Michael Jordan, to me, that's just because he is the ultimate competitor. And even as the owner of the Charlotte Bobcats, he is still competing. And you can still tell that this guy wants to give back to the game. And at 50 years old, it hurts him that he's getting old because this guy was dominant in his time. So let's talk about why he is the greatest. Now, you always measure great players by the amount of championships they have. You look at Kobe Bryant, he has 5 championships. LeBron James only has 1 championship. Michael Jordan has 6. That is the biggest argument because right now, I have seen more LeBron James than I have Michael Jordan. The last time I watched Michael Jordan was in 1998 when I was 6 years old and they had just won their second three-peat and he hit that clutch shot against the Utah Jazz. That's going to be synonymous in his career, for a long, long time. And the ring debate is a good debate. You have to base it off of championships. Championships are a big measure of how great of a player you are. But if that's the case, then why isn't Bill Russell named the best player of all time? Because Russell's got 11 rings, but you don't talk about Bill Russell the same way you talk about Michael Jordan. And I think the best way to look at this is talking to people who competed against Michael Jordan. The people who, like Craig Ello, who played for the Cleveland Cavaliers for a long time and was forced to guard Michael Jordan. He had a really good article the other day talking about how Michael Jordan was the most impossible guy to guard. And he would tell Ello coming up the court exactly what he was going to do. So Craig Ello knew how to defend Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan would still be able to hit a shot over Craig Ello, even though he played perfect defense and knew exactly what he was going to do. That's just how Michael Jordan was. He was that talented. And the way this guy carried the Chicago Bulls is another thing you have to look at. And I know there's going to be people that are saying LeBron James is a better overall player because he can guard anybody in the league, and he's just a better athlete. He's a better freak athlete than Michael Jordan is. And he may be. If you look at Michael Jordan in his prime against LeBron James, he may just be better physically. But I don't think you can crown LeBron James better than Michael Jordan just yet because of this. Michael Jordan won 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls, and he even left the game to go play baseball. He left the game in his prime when the Bulls were in their prime. He left his teammates to go pursue a baseball career. And this wasn't like he was playing in the Major League Baseball League. He was playing in the minors to sacrifice all of that money, all that fame to go play baseball and not be a big star. To me is one thing. That shows his character. But in that time frame, he did that, and he also went into other arenas like New York, like Cleveland, like LA, and he still had people cheering for him. Obviously, they were cheering for the home team, but people still went there cheering for Michael Jordan. And you talk to a lot of close New York Knicks fans. You look at a lot of New York Knicks fans. He beat them 5 times in the playoffs. But there are still people in New York City that will buy his Air Jordan sneakers, that will still buy a number 23 Bulls jersey. There's a whole state in the United States that hates LeBron James. Cleveland, Ohio will never forgive LeBron James. That's the thing. There aren't any people around here that hate Michael Jordan. There are. There are people that think he's arrogant and think he's cocky, but the majority of people, when you talk about the greatest player, will mention Michael Jordan because of all he did for the game, his sneakers, the way he carried himself, the way he would play with the flu and still be a dominant player. And you have to look at as well, he never lost in an NBA championship game. Look at LeBron James. He has lost in an NBA championship game. He's got 1 ring, and you know what? The Miami Heat are in a position right now where they can challenge for a title year after year. But the thing is with LeBron James is that what he has done during his career is going to make a lot of people not forgive him. There are going to be people that aren't going to forgive him for what he did to the Cleveland Cavaliers when he decided to not tell them he wasn't going to re-sign with them, but go on national television and then decide to sign with the Miami Heat after the Cleveland Cavaliers brought him into the league, and he had brought Cleveland from the ground up into a title contender, and he didn't finish the job in Cleveland. That's always going to be there. That stigma is always going to be there with LeBron James, no matter how many championships he wins, and I think LeBron's a great player. I'm getting over the fact that he left Cleveland and went to Miami to play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. But I'm still a Jordan fan. Jordan is my favorite player. The Chicago Bulls are my favorite team, and I am never going to forget what Michael Jordan did for Chicago. And that, I think, to me, is the difference. around the globe, Michael Jordan is viewed as an icon. LeBron James is too, but there's enough people that hate LeBron James that, to me, make Michael Jordan the greatest player ever. You can also argue Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is in that discussion as well, but he is also lost in the NBA Finals. For Kobe Bryant, too, he doesn't relish the publicity as much as Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan was good in the public eye. Kobe Bryant, sometimes you can tell he doesn't like talking to the media, and he's a bit of a villain himself. The way him and Shaq were treated and how he couldn't get along with Shaq, I think that's going to tarnish Kobe to me. Because look at Michael Jordan. He played with a lot of talented people. He played with Scottie Pippen. He played with a lot of good people in Chicago, but he never got power hungry there. Obviously, they knew Jordan was the guy, and he had to have the ball in key situations. But with Shaq and Kobe, I look at that situation and how Shaq got run out of LA because they both couldn't work together. I mean, we always argue whose fault was it, but the fact that both of those guys couldn't make it work in LA, to me, is always going to tarnish Kobe Bryant's reputation. Michael is Michael Jordan, and that is why I think he is the best player of all time. Even at 50 years old, there's stories of him still challenging current Bobcat players to play one-on-one, and how this guy still, if he could, wants to return to the NBA because basketball is him. He's only comfortable playing basketball. This guy being retired is not a good thing. It's weighing on him. He wants to get back and play because the game of basketball is where Michael Jordan belongs, and being the best player of all time is where he belongs. And that is why it's going to take a while for someone to dethrone Michael Jordan as the best player to ever play in the NBA. Thanks for listening to The Good, The Bad, The Teskey. Again, remember to like us on Facebook. Check out the YouTube page as well. We're going to try to put out more episodes now in the new year. We're into 2013. And have yourselves a great day.